9/9/2020. Guys, you're looking at images starting from last night until 7:30 tonight, or 7:36 p.m. And this is California from satellite images. We talked about this last night. If you look very closely, you can even see fires burning from this particular image. What has changed was yesterday, as we were looking at this, a lot of the wind in Northern California was blowing offshore and up in Oregon and all, but when you got down in this section, it was blowing south. And there was a lot of offshore draft, but now it's turning and pushing back in. Look at these last few frames. So guys that you have been in areas that have been saved from the fires, things like that, because you had a wind blowing offshore, just pay attention to this because it's changing rapidly. Now, what you're seeing in the first few images, and this is going into tonight, right there, guys, everything's blowing back inshore now. Notice how quickly it's changing to the east. But those first black soot-looking clouds was at daylight, and the sun was far to the right, and you were seeing shadows. And it looked like an explosion of a storm there this morning. Not a storm, excuse me, but an explosion of a large forest fire in that particular area. Look at that. Clouds rose very high, cast a very long and deep shadow. Now, check that out. Amazing images, a lot of destruction. Guys, the images coming in, if you'll go to the West Coast, look at the different cities, look at their TV stations, covered in orange soot, and looks like a volcano or something. Ash has fallen in many places. And if you look closely at this, you can see where the fires are in California. But because of this wind change, and you can see everything pushing from the Pacific inward, you're going to have to pay attention to what has already burned or you thought you were saved from, because the fires are very active. Now let's back out and come back out of just looking at California, and you're seeing Northern California, Oregon, Washington, and Canada. Now I want to back out, guys. We were looking at California, but now we can see Northern California, Oregon in the center there, Washington, and you're looking at Canada at the very top. Now it looks like most of this forest fire, except for a couple, are in Oregon and California. But notice everything is pushing offshore as we see the sunrise. That's the way it was doing this morning. But the clouds are starting to change, guys. Now over in the right bottom corner of this image with the blue upper level, you're seeing very cold weather. It's like a low pressure setting right over that same area for the last few days. Very cold. You got snow through the area, and that extends all the way up into the northeast as far as the way the front is moving, not necessarily all the temperatures. But look at the amount of smoke. It's going along the mountain ranges here in Oregon. You got one fire just north of the border here into Washington itself, and then it's almost like it's exploding. Then when you get down here, what is a real problem now, guys, in California, a lot of it last night in the video, again, was either blowing offshore or blowing south towards the LA area, is now blowing back on you. So not only will you have the possibility of extra ash in the area, guys, and that's what they're talking about, is ash fall, almost like a volcano. But some of these are exploding, and they're making their own weather. If you notice, if you look at the bottom center, and this has been going on all day, these very explosive centers of these forest fires are making their own weather. It's actually some actual thunderstorms showing up here and there in these clouds on radar. And guys, I also want to kind of do an update on the Atlantic. Things are changing. It's very active. A lot of strange weather going on in a lot of places. Again, you've got your two tropical storms. Both Paulette and Renee are turning into the northern Atlantic. As a matter of fact, as we look at the satellite images, you can see there's already upper level weather patterns going all the way into the UK, guys. What we need to watch in the next few days is a new storm here, disturbance number 2, that's projected to go into the Gulf of Mexico. This one, disturbance number 1, is still headed towards the Carolinas. Not as strong as it was. We'll just watch, because you're already getting some pretty good thunderstorms even tonight in North Carolina. But the second storm, as we move this to the 5-day forecast, guys, you can see that you've got 2 systems that are about to form off of Africa. And again, most of the time when you see them form along the Cabo Verde Islands here, they're already in a northerly track. But this storm about to come off is now is a 90% chance of formation in 5 days. And it's a little south of these tracks. We'll just have to watch and see if it gets pulled up into the northern Atlantic, because it's going to have a vacuum effect from Renee and Paulette, because as they pull up, a lot of times you'll see the weather pull with them. Don't know how this will react yet. Now, on the front of the U.S., this system, which is we're calling disturbance number 1, was at a 40% chance of developing. Now, a quick look at the 5-day forecast. The system going into the Carolinas is only a 20% chance of cyclone formation within 5 days. It was a 40% chance, but you're already getting some pretty good rain and storms along North Carolina, along the Outer Banks. Paulette and Renee again going into North Atlantic. This system that's this far north already, that's a 20% chance of development, that's already over the Cabo Verde Islands, will be pulled in behind these storms. It always happens. This one will, which is a 90% chance, this is disturbance number 3 of cyclone formation in 5 days. A lot of times, again, it will be pulled, any storm below this, if you've got active storms in this area, can be pulled in behind it. Now, what we'll have to watch is how quickly Renee and Paulette pull north, and disturbance number 3 continues to move west. Now, here's kind of the wild card right here, and this is disturbance number 2, 20% chance of cyclone formation in 5 days. Let me say this, it's moving into very warm waters. This is projected to go into the Gulf of Mexico. I remember a few days ago looking at the heat index over the U.S., and we were looking 101, 105 along the southeast here, and it was 110 over the central Gulf of Mexico. That's because of grand solar minimum and the penetration through our weakened shields. Right now, we'll keep an eye on disturbance number 1 coming into the Carolinas, and this one, because of it's projected, guys, to go into a lot warmer waters. A few days ago, looking at the heat index over the U.S. and into the Gulf itself, it was 110 degrees compared to 103, 104 along Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, into Florida. In these areas, the warmest spot in the U.S. was where this storm was moving. So we need to keep an eye on that. Again, it's we're dealing with weather like we'd never seen. But you guys on the West Coast, watch out for those fires. The winds are shifting back on you now. It's a heads up. Be safe.